Welcome to the show for today. My name is Alana McLaughlin and you are watching Perspectives. This morning on Perspectives I have Mr. Shannon Sanders, Dove Award-winning, Emmy Award-winning, Grammy Award-winning producer, songwriter, manager, and currently the executive director and creative at Broadcast Music Incorporated, the Nashville office. Mr. Sanders' current job is to sign top talent from all across the country to be under his management. And with 25 years of experience in the game, he knows what he's doing. So thank you for coming to the show this morning, Mr. Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And so I'd like to start off this episode by talking about your background in education. I'd like to know what molded you into the man that you are today. So let's start with your roots. Where are you from?
South Nashville.
Yes, sir.
You know, as far as education goes, it started for me, J.T. Moore, Hillsborough, Tennessee State. I can honestly tell you it started at J.T. Moore. Dr. Bobby Jones came to a career day that we had, and it really changed the game for me. To see, first of all, that he was an African-American man from Nashville, but having success in the music industry. That meant everything to me. So now when I see Doc, I tell him every time. He's probably tired of me telling him every time I see him. I'm like, Doc, thank you so much for coming to that career day, because he let me know that it was possible. And then from there to have teachers that poured in, that didn't handcuff me or restrict me in any way. Also, Hillsborough at the time, a lot of people may not realize this, Hillsborough had a studio at the time, so that studio is now at Pearl Cone. Pearl Cone is now an entertainment magnet school, but what they did was take the studio that was at Hillsborough when I was there, moved it to Pearl Cone, and then it grew and it became an entertainment magnet school. So really, really grateful for my time at Hillsborough as well, because by the time I graduated high school, I knew my way around the studio. And then from there on to the aristocrat bands at Tennessee State.
Yes,
and so,
sir.
Yes, indeed. And so that was an invaluable education. And not only what I learned from instructors, but what I learned from other students, what I learned from just, you know, the grit and the grind of having to get up every day and for there to be a physical application to playing music. I think that gave me a certain grit that I now apply to the music industry. So that's definitely where it started.
And now, what instruments did you start? Did you start vocally or instrumentally?
You know what's interesting? It's really all of the above. I mean, for me, my grandfather was a pastor, so I grew up playing in church. So on the weekends, I was, you know, with my family and playing keys and doing that. But at school, I played trumpet. I was an all-state trumpet player, you know, and then I was writing songs and I was in one of, actually, it's funny to look back now, but we were actually one of the first rap groups in Nashville to release a record. We probably started releasing records around here probably 86, 87. And so it goes that far back. But I started playing trumpet really early on. That's probably about third grade. I probably started playing keys about fifth grade. And then singing from there. It's funny, I didn't even know I could sing. I think from being in section practices in band, singing through parts. And then I figured it out later, like, okay, I've been training my voice this whole time, singing trumpet parts. And so that's where it started.
Did you study music at TSU?
I did. I was a music major at Tennessee State.
Were you performance, commercial music, education?
Education, actually.
Wow.
I really wanted to do commercial music.
Really?
And once I got there, that's really what I gravitated toward. And I spent a lot of time in the basement, a lot of time with other students, just soaking it all up.
Yeah, and our viewers that know TSU and know the aristocrat bands will know that basement, that area
basement.
where all the, you know, because we're both trumpet players in the AOB, which is an amazing honor to be able to sing.
Yes.
And man, you just never know how small the world is.
Yes.
And so from TSU, what do you say was your big break? After graduating, after getting all that information, where'd you go from there?
You know, it was never like just one thing. You know, it was always a succession of things.
Yeah.
It was always something to let me know, you know, what I call the lighted path. It was always something to just let me know to keep going, or go this way, or go that way, you know. And so when I look back now, I see these things as pivotal moments or times. But at the time, it was just following the lighted path. It was just doing what made the most sense. Not always what was the most convenient or comfortable thing, but what seemed to be the right thing to do for my career at the time. And so, but I would have to say, for me, there were lots of things that happened, but I would have to say that when I started to work with NDRE, the game changed. Just because of what she stood for, what her platform was. You know, it was working with her that made me realize that you could create music of substance and have mainstream success with music of substance.
And about what year was that?
That was
music?
about 2000.
Wow.
That was about 2000.
Man, so about 23 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a blessing. And so on this second segment, we're going to come back in talking about, we're going to pick up from NDRE and talk about where you went from TSU, how your career began. I know your hit songs with Heather Headley, excuse me. I know you've written for John Legend. So we're going to pick up on all of that and talk about how your Nashville education, how your South Side upbringing brought you to stardom. Was that too